The divorce deal that destroyed everything. I didn't know it then, but the day we signed our divorce papers was the day we planted a bomb that wouldn't explode until 10 years later. It was a Thursday, 3:12 p.m. I remember because the clock on the wall in the attorney's office was ticking so loudly it felt like it was mocking us. The blinds were half open, letting those thin stripes of winter sun cut across the table. She wouldn't look at me. I wouldn't look at her. Maybe that was the problem all along. House goes to her, the mediator said. Business goes to him. Just like that. 20 years dissolved into 2 sentences. I nodded like it didn't hurt. She signed like she didn't care. We pretended it was fair. And maybe it was on paper. But paper doesn't measure resentment. Or lies. Or the secrets we were both hiding. I noticed her hand shaking as she passed the pen back. I still remember the smell of her perfume, vanilla and something floral. It hit me like a memory I wasn't ready for. I looked away. The business was the only thing I had left. And she knew that. She knew I'd fight for it. So she offered what she knew I couldn't refuse. And I let her walk out with the house we built together. Looking back now, I should have asked why she was so willing to give up everything else. But I didn't. I was too angry, too tired, too proud. The first night after the divorce, I slept in the office on a leather couch that was too short and too stiff. The streetlights outside flickered through the blinds. I kept checking the security cameras even though nothing was happening. Nothing ever happened there after 8 p.m. Still, I watched. At 11:47 p.m., I got a text from an unknown number. Check the mailbox at the old house. I stared at that message for a long time. 10 minutes, maybe more. I remember my breath fogging the cold office window when I tried to get some air. I shouldn't have gone. God, I know that now. But when your marriage ends, you lose your sense of judgment along with your sense of direction. So I drove. The house was still lit. Her lamp on the upstairs desk. The porch light she always forgot to turn off. I parked across the street and walked to the mailbox like a thief. Inside was an envelope. Thick. No name. I opened it right there under the street lamp. Inside, a photograph of her. And a man I had never seen before, standing in my garage, months before the divorce. She was smiling. He was holding a set of keys. I felt something inside me twist until it almost snapped. I don't know how long I stood there staring at that photo. 5 minutes? 15? The cold wind kept slapping the paper against my fingers. My heart was pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Was she cheating? Was it a setup? Or something worse? My mind was spiraling, clawing at every possibility. And then the porch light flicked. Once, twice, 3 times. She never did that. Not once in 20 years. Someone was signaling. Not to me. To someone inside. I felt the air go still in my lungs. I backed away. Slowly. Carefully. My hands were trembling so badly I dropped the photo once and had to fumble for it in the dark. As I got back into my truck, I saw something move behind the living room curtain. A shadow crossing from left to right. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Not her. Not even close. I drove off before they noticed I was there. But the image burned into my head. That house, my house, didn't feel like mine anymore. And it sure as hell didn't feel safe. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I showed the photo to my best friend, Marcus, who'd been my operations manager at the business for years. He stared at it, silent. His jaw clenched the way it does when he's trying not to say something he'll regret. "You ever seen him before?" I asked. "No," he said too quickly. "Never." I caught the hesitation. It was small, but it was there. Like a glitch in his voice. "You sure?" He swallowed. "Yeah, of course." But I wasn't convinced. Still, I didn't push him. I had enough chaos swirling in my head. I tucked the envelope into my desk drawer and told myself I'd deal with it later. But secrets don't wait politely. They rot. They spread. They eventually surface. And this one was already starting to smell. Later that week, I drove past the house again. Her car was in the driveway. His wasn't. But something else caught my eye. A moving truck. Boxes stacked on the lawn. A man carrying furniture through the front door. Her standing in the doorway, arms crossed, smiling. Not the smile she used to wear around me. A different one. Relaxed. At ease. Happy. Or pretending to be. And then I saw it, the garage opening. Not our garage. Her garage now. Inside, I noticed something missing. My safe. The one I kept bolted to the floor. The one that held documents, financial records, and one envelope labeled, "For my eyes only." It was gone. My stomach dropped so hard I felt dizzy. She wasn't just moving in. She was moving something out. Something that apparently belonged to me, and something she shouldn't have had access to. That was the moment I realized the divorce wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of a cover-up. Halfway down the street, I pulled over. My hands were shaking too badly to drive. My vision was blurring. I felt like someone had reached inside my chest and twisted everything out of place. And maybe you felt this too, that moment when your world shifts and suddenly you're looking at your own life through a stranger's eyes. If you've ever been blindsided by someone you trusted, if your heart ever cracked open in real time, you know that feeling. And if you're here right now, I see you. Drop a broken heart so I know I'm not alone. The next day, I confronted her. She opened the door like she'd been expecting me. "What are you doing with my safe?" I asked. She blinked slowly. "Your safe?" "Yes," I said. "Where is it?" Her lips curled into a soft, mocking smile. "You mean the one you left behind? You couldn't open it," I snapped. "You didn't know the combination." She tilted her head. "Are you sure about that?" My blood ran cold. There are voices you never forget. Your mother's laugh, your father's warnings, your first child's cry. And then there are voices that haunt you for different reasons. Hers, right then, became one of them. "You need to leave," she said. "Now." And before I could say another word, he stepped into view behind her. The man from the photo. Broad shoulders, dark hair, wearing my robe. I felt the world tilt, and for a second, I thought I might actually collapse on the porch. She closed the door in my face. I didn't know it then, but that man wasn't just some affair. He was the reason she wanted the house. And soon I'd learn he was also the reason she wanted me far, far away. Because inside that safe was something they were willing to do anything to bury. Anything. I didn't sleep the night after she slammed the door in my face. I sat in my truck outside the business until sunrise, staring at that damn photograph over and over. Her smile. His hand casually on her lower back. My garage in the background. The date stamp in the corner. 4 months before the divorce. For months. I tried to work that morning. God knows I tried, but every email looked like static. Every phone call sounded like someone talking underwater. Around 10:30 a.m., Marcus walked into my office with 2 coffees and set one on my desk. "Rough night?" he asked. I didn't answer. I just slid the photograph toward him. He didn't even touch it this time. "You went over there again?" he asked quietly. "I want to know what's in that damn safe." Marcus let out a slow breath, then closed the blinds like he was afraid someone might be watching. "Look," he said. "Maybe you should let it go. The divorce is done. She has the house. You have the business. Trying to dig into her life now, it's just going to make you crazy." The way he said it, her life, like he wasn't talking about a woman we had known for 20 years. It bothered me. "You're hiding something," I said. His jaw tightened. "I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" He hesitated. Then he said something I'll never forget. "From the truth you think you want." Felt like he slapped me. Before I could respond, the front door chimed. Someone coming into the building. Marcus stepped back, cleared his throat, and left the office like nothing had happened. But his words echoed through the room long after he was gone. That afternoon, as I was about to lock up, my phone buzzed with another message from an unknown number. "She didn't take everything. Check the attic." My heartbeat kicked hard against my ribs. The attic. The one we never used except for holiday storage. I shouldn't have gone. God knows I shouldn't have. But curiosity is poison when you're hurt. It burns until you swallow it. So at 8:17 p.m., after dark, I parked 2 houses down and walked toward the place I used to call home. The porch light was off this time. The curtains drawn. Her car gone. Perfect. I knew where she kept the spare key. Inside a cracked flower pot by the back door. I used it so many times over the years I could find it blindfolded. The lock clicked open with a sound that felt final. Like a line I wasn't supposed to cross had just disappeared behind me. Inside, the house felt smaller, colder, like the warmth we once shared had been scraped out of the walls. The smell hit me next: paint, sawdust, and a faint trace of the new man's cologne. Something sharp, synthetic, aggressive. I swallowed hard. I shouldn't be here. But the echo of the text kept dragging me forward. The attic pull string was in the hallway. I tugged it gently, listening for any movement, any footsteps, any sign that someone else might be inside. Nothing. The ladder creaked under my weight as I climbed. The attic was freezing, dusty, the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. My flashlight cut through the dark, illuminating boxes I recognized instantly. Holiday lights, winter blankets, old photo albums she insisted we keep even when we donated everything else. Then I saw it. A cardboard box shoved behind storage bins, duct tape barely hanging on. On top, in her handwriting, "Keep private." My stomach knotted. I dragged the box into the light and opened it. Inside, not documents, not clothes, not photos, but letters. Dozens of them, all addressed to her. From one name, the man in the photograph. The first envelope was dated 6 years before our divorce. 6 years. My fingers trembled as I opened the top letter. The handwriting was neat, almost delicate. I parked down the street again. He left early. I thought about knocking, but I know you said no more surprises. I miss your laugh. I miss your hands. I miss the future you promised me. My vision blurred. A cold, hollow ache opened inside my chest. This wasn't an affair that happened at the end. It wasn't a mistake, or a slip, or a moment of loneliness. It was a second life, a second relationship, a second version of her, one I never even saw. I kept reading until my heartbeat felt like it was shaking the rafters. Letter after letter, year after year, promises, secrets, plans. When he travels next month, meet me at the house. He doesn't appreciate you the way I do. You deserve everything, and I'll help you get it. Help her get what? The house? My business? My life? I flipped through more letters, my throat tightening. Then I found one that wasn't like the others. A different envelope. Thicker paper. A legal watermark. My name in the corner. She had opened my mail. My pulse spiked. Inside was a document, my business valuation from 8 years ago. A full financial breakdown. Private. Confidential. Stolen. On the last page, she circled one sentence. In the event of dissolution, the spouse may claim. And next to it, in her handwriting, we need to get this changed. A chill crawled up my spine. We. Not I. Not me. We. 2 of them. Planning. Preparing. Calculating. 6 years before I even suspected a thing. The attic felt suddenly smaller. The walls pressing in. My own breath sounding too loud. I put the letters back, but something slipped out from the bottom of the box. A small, sealed envelope marked, "Do not open until after." My fingers froze. After what? The divorce? The move? My downfall? I started to tear it open, and then the floor creaked. Not the attic floor. The hallway floor. Downstairs. Someone else was in the house. My blood turned to ice. I killed the flashlight instantly and crouched low, heart hammering against my ribs hard enough to hurt. A shadow moved across the hallway light. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Male. Not hers. Not even close. The same frame. The same build. The man from the photo. He was humming. Calm. Unbothered. Like he belonged there. Like he owned it. And then he spoke. "I know you're here." My lungs constricted. Every muscle in my body went stiff. "I saw your truck," he said. "You should have parked farther." I squeezed my eyes shut. Idiot. Stupid. Reckless. He started up the attic ladder. One step. Then another. Each creak an earthquake inside my skull. I held my breath until my chest burned. He reached the top step. The attic light flicked on. Bright. Harsh. Blinding. I froze like a hunted animal. He looked straight at me. Or rather, straight at the box. He didn't smile. He didn't shout. He didn't move. He just said quietly, "You shouldn't have found that." My pulse spiked so violently I thought I might pass out. He stepped closer. One slow, deliberate step. "Put the envelope down," he said, "and listen very carefully. If you take one more thing from this house." He leaned in so close I could smell his cologne. "I promise you'll lose more than just the marriage." My throat closed. He knew. He knew about the safe. The photo. The envelope in my hand. The letters. Everything. He wasn't some fling. He wasn't some mistake. He was part of a plan. A plan I wasn't supposed to survive. I backed toward the ladder, trembling so badly the wooden steps shook under me. "I'm not going to tell you again," he said. When I finally got inside my truck, my hands were numb. My vision was swimming. My heart felt like it was beating in the wrong place. I drove away without headlights on. I didn't even look back. I didn't go home that night. Couldn't. Not after seeing him there. Standing at the top of the attic ladder like he owned the house I'd worked 20 years to pay off. His voice had followed me for hours. That low, calm warning playing on loop in my head. "If you take one more thing from this house, you'll lose more than just the marriage." By 4:20 a.m., I was still sitting in the office with every light on, trying not to imagine footsteps coming down the hallway. I kept replaying the attic moment over and over, but there was something else beneath it. Something quieter, more dangerous. Why was he so calm? Why didn't he panic when he saw me with the letters? Why did he seem prepared? As dawn broke, I realized something horrifying. He wasn't afraid because he already had everything he needed. And I had no idea what that meant. Around 8:03 a.m., my cell phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. My nerves were too raw. But something told me to pick up. "Is this Mr. Carver?" a man asked. His voice was steady, professional, but there was a tension under it. "Yes. Who's this?" "This is Daniel Ruiz. I'm your ex-wife's accountant." My blood went cold. "Why are you calling me?" He hesitated, never a good sign. "There's something I think you should see," he said quietly. "But I need to ask. Have you reviewed the post-divorce asset filings?" I sat up straight. "What filings?" A beat of silence. Then, "Sir, she filed supplemental declarations last night." "Last night? The divorce was settled months ago." "I know, but her attorney submitted a petition to reopen the case. Claims of omitted assets." Every muscle in my stomach clenched. "What assets?" He exhaled slowly, like he wasn't sure how to say it. "She's claiming you hid income from the business. Hundreds of thousands over the last 4 years. My hand tightened around the phone until my knuckles went white. "That's impossible. Every cent is documented." "That's why I'm calling," he said. "Because the numbers don't add up. And not in the way she thinks. They've been altered." My pulse jumped. "Altered by who?" "You need to come to my office," he whispered. "I can't talk about this on the phone." "Why not?" "Because whoever altered these documents knew exactly where to find them. And exactly how to make it look like you did it." I swallowed hard. The safe. The missing safe. The documents inside. They weren't looking for memories. They were looking for leverage. "What time can you meet?" I asked. "Now," he said. Before someone decides this conversation never happened. His office was in a strip mall 20 minutes from downtown. A modest little place wedged between a dentist and a nail salon. The kind of office where small business owners went to file taxes and ask simple questions. But not today. Today, his front window blinds were closed, and the door was locked even though the sign said open. He cracked it just wide enough for me to slide inside. Daniel Ruiz was younger than I expected. Maybe early 30s, glasses, anxious energy. He shut the door and locked it immediately. You didn't tell anyone you were coming, right?
No, Irraplia.
He gestured me toward his desk. Papers were scattered everywhere. Ledgers, printed emails, screenshots, bank statements. Look at this, he said, sliding a file toward me. It was my business ledger, but not the one I kept. Not the one Marcus and I had reviewed every month. This one had subtle changes, minor enough to miss at first glance, major enough to look suspicious under legal scrutiny. Income shifted. Expenses inflated. Dates moved. So you see it? Daniel asked. Yeah, I whispered. But this isn't my handwriting. And it's not Marcus's either. Daniel hesitated. This wasn't done by hand, he said. It was done on your office computer. I felt my throat tighten. That's impossible, I said. My office computer is password protected. Passwords can be guessed, he replied. But the timestamp is what matters. He turned the monitor so I could see. The edits were made 3 months before the divorce. 3 months. Same time frame as the photograph. Same time frame as her late-night disappearances. Same time frame as the texts she said were from coworkers. Daniel looked me dead in the eyes. She's building a case that you committed financial fraud during the marriage. I felt the ground shift beneath me. And if she wins, he continued quietly, you won't just lose the business. You could face criminal charges. My heart stopped. Criminal charges. I don't know what she told you about your finances, Daniel said gently. But these revisions, they were made with intent. What kind of intent? He lowered his voice. To destroy you. A cold wave passed over me. And the man she's with? I asked. Daniel's face changed. Like he knew something but wasn't sure if he should tell me. You've met him? He confronted me in the attic, I said. Daniel's jaw tightened. You need to be careful. Very careful. That man isn't who she says he is. My pulse hammered. Who is he? He hesitated, then typed something on his computer. A database login. A search bar. A name. The man's name. I watched his face as the results loaded. Shock. Then fear. Then something worse, hesitation, like he didn't know how to say what he was seeing. Mr. Carver, he whispered. This man isn't in her tax documents. He isn't in her employment records. He isn't even listed as a tenant at your former residence. Then who is he? Daniel turned the screen. What I saw made my stomach hollow out entirely. He wasn't some boyfriend. He wasn't a fling. He wasn't a contractor or coworker or friend. He was a licensed private investigator. Hired 5 years ago. By her. To watch me. To follow me. To build a case against me. I felt sick. She hired him. My voice cracked. 5 years ago? Daniel nodded slowly. I think she planned this long before the divorce. The room suddenly shrank. My chest tightened until breathing hurt. 5 years. 5 years of lies. 5 years of surveillance. 5 years of setting me up. Why? I whispered. Why would she do that? Daniel didn't answer. He didn't have to, because a moment later, he slid one last document across the desk. A document that made every hair on my arms stand up. A life insurance policy. My name. Her signature. His signature. The PI, listed as a witness. A policy taken out 1 year before the divorce. For an amount that should make anyone nervous. Almost double the value of the business. My mouth went dry. She wouldn't, I started. But Daniel cut me off gently. People don't hire private investigators for 5 years because they're bored. My vision blurred at the edges. Mr. Carver, he said quietly. Whatever you think this is, it's bigger, much bigger. I leaned back in the chair, my body trembling, my mind spinning violently. She didn't divorce you to get free, Daniel whispered. He tapped the insurance policy. She divorced you to cash out. My pulse thundered in my ears. And then he added the final blow. And whatever was in that safe, I think it proves it. I didn't drive home after leaving Daniel's office. I didn't even try. I parked behind an empty grocery store, turned off the engine, and just sat there with the life insurance document open on the passenger seat. My name staring back at me like a threat. 5 years. A forged financial trail. A life insurance policy she never told me about. It didn't feel real. It felt scripted. Planned. Like I'd been living inside a story someone else was writing. But the part that kept looping in my mind was the attic. That envelope marked, "Do not open until after." After what? I didn't want to know the answer. Not yet. And then, because the universe has a sick sense of timing, my phone buzzed. A name I hadn't seen in months. Evan. Her son. My stepson. I stared at the screen so long it went dark again. He was 13 when I married his mother. 26 now. He used to call me Dad until he was old enough to understand what step meant, and old enough for her to weaponize that word. But he'd never called me since the divorce. Not once. My chest tightened. I answered. Evan. His voice cracked. Can we meet? Tonight. My heartbeat kicked. What's wrong? A long pause. She lied, he whispered. She lied about everything. My grip tightened on the phone. Where are you? He gave me an address. Not a house. Not an apartment. A motel. Room 17. The kind of place where people go to hide, not sleep. I didn't ask questions. I just drove. The motel was one of those faded, peeling places off the interstate. Buzzing neon sign, flickering hallway lights, stale smell of cigarettes even with the windows closed. It was 9:56 p.m. when I knocked on his door. Evan opened it fast like he'd been waiting right behind it. He looked older, thinner, eyes red, hollow cheeks, hands shaking. My heart dropped. Jesus. Kid, what happened? He stepped back to let me in, locking the door behind us. I shouldn't be talking to you, he said, pacing. He told her to cut all ties. Said I'd complicate things. He? I asked. You mean the man she's with? He nodded too quickly. Yeah, him. The PI. His voice dropped. But that's not what she calls him. What does she call him? Evan paused, rubbing the back of his neck like the words physically hurt. Her fiancé. The room tilted. Fiancé? Then everything Daniel said fell into place like a puzzle snapping together. I sank into the edge of the bed. She got engaged already? No, Evan said. They've been engaged for years. My head snapped up. Come again. He swallowed hard. She just didn't tell you. My pulse roared in my ears. Evan, how long? He looked away. Since I was in high school. High school. 8 years ago. Long before the divorce. Long before the lies. Long before she started pretending to work late. My vision blurred for a second. You're telling me they were together the entire time? He nodded. And you knew? No, he said quickly, eyes filling. Not at first. But I started noticing stuff. Gifts. Trips, she said, were work training. Locked drawers. Whispered calls. Evan? I whispered. Why didn't you tell me? He stared at me with eyes I used to see when I taught him to ride a bike. Scared, small, wanting someone to fix the world for him. Because she told me you'd leave us, he whispered. Tight breath escaped me. She said if I told anyone, you'd walk out. That you'd never stay with a kid who wasn't yours. That hurt more than anything else that night. Because it wasn't true. Not even close. She used you, I said quietly. His voice cracked. She used both of us. He sat down across from me, foot tapping fast, restless. There's something else, he said. Something I didn't know until a few months ago. What? He reached into his backpack and pulled out a flash drive. My heart kicked. What is that? It's everything, he whispered. Emails, screenshots, contracts, stuff she hid on her laptop. How did you get it? She left her laptop unlocked once. I copied everything. I didn't know what I'd find. I just wanted to know why she wasn't the same person anymore. He slid the flash drive across the table. I haven't looked at all of it, but I saw enough. Enough for what? He rubbed his face with both hands, then looked at me with a fear I'd never seen in him. She's planning something bigger than the divorce, and he's helping her. My mouth went dry. Bigger how? Evan took a deep breath that shook on the way out. They're trying to take the business. Not through court. Not legally. His voice dropped to a whisper. They're planning to prove you're unstable. My pulse hammered. What do you mean, unstable? Evan stared at the wall, like he couldn't believe he was about to say it. They think if they can get you hospitalized or declared unfit, everything becomes theirs. Your accounts, the company, the house, your assets, everything. A cold wave washed down my spine. Why would they think I'd ever be declared unfit? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Because they're manipulating things. Your finances, your messages, your medical records. Medical records? I repeated. He nodded. Didn't you notice? He asked. She went to all your doctor appointments with you the last few years. Filled out forms. Asked the questions. Requested copies. My mind jumped back. Doctor's offices. Paperwork I barely read. Her insisting she'd handle it. Evan's voice dropped lower. She told them you were having episodes. Memory problems. Mood swings. That's a lie. I know, he whispered. She wanted a paper trail. My hands clenched into fists. This is insane. No, he said. It's a setup. I leaned forward. Why are you telling me this now? He hesitated. His throat bobbed. Because yesterday, something happened. What? Evan's voice trembled. I heard them arguing. In the garage. About you. What did they say? He swallowed. He said you're getting too close. That you're starting to figure things out. That accidents happen. My breath froze in my chest. Accidents. He didn't mean it literally, Evan added quickly. I don't think he did. But the way he said it, it scared me. My voice was barely a whisper when I asked. And she? What did she say? He closed his eyes. She said, if he disappears, everything becomes easy. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd be sick. Evan wiped his eyes with the sleeve of his hoodie. I couldn't stay there after that. I packed a bag and left. I came here. I didn't know who else to call. The room felt like it was shrinking. You did the right thing, I said softly. He looked at me for a long moment, like he was trying to decide if I was still the man he remembered. Then he reached into his pocket. There's one more thing, he said. He pulled out a folded piece of paper. Old, wrinkled, torn at the edges. I found this in the attic a few weeks ago, he whispered. She yelled when she realized it was missing. I didn't understand why until now. He handed it to me. My fingers shook as I unfolded it. It was part of a letter. My letter. From that envelope in the attic. The one marked, do not open until after. Only one line was visible, torn mid-sentence, jagged and violent. If anything happens to him, the beneficiary. My heart stopped. The beneficiary. Her. The PI. The insurance. The forged records. The lies. The 5-year plan. It all snapped together in one sickening click. She didn't just want the house. She didn't just want the business. She wanted the payout. And then Evan whispered the final piece of the puzzle. She told him, the timing has to look natural, not suspicious, just tragic. My vision tunneled. My breath stalled. My body went cold. Dad? Evan whispered, voice breaking. She's planning something, and I think it's happening soon. My pulse hammered so hard it hurt. What did she call it? He asked, tears streaming now. What did she write on that envelope? I swallowed. Do not open until after, I said. After what? Evan asked. I didn't want to say it out loud. I didn't want him to hear it. But the truth sat between us like a loaded weapon. After, I whispered, I'm gone. I didn't remember driving back to the office. One moment I was in that motel room with Evan, the weight of his words collapsing my world inward. The next, I was staring through the windshield at the dark, empty parking lot of my own business. My hands still gripping the steering wheel like I was afraid the earth might tilt and throw me out. After I'm gone. I kept hearing it. Her voice, his threat, Evan's fear, the timing, the insurance, the forged documents, the envelope in the attic. Every piece pointed in one direction, and the more I repeated it in my head, the more real it became. They weren't just trying to ruin me, they were trying to replace me. But before I could even breathe, before I could fully process any of it, something else hit me like a delayed explosion. If they altered my financial records, if they accessed my safe, if he was a PI with 5 years of surveillance, then they didn't just target my marriage. They targeted my business. And that's when I knew. I had to check the files. It was 1:14 a.m. when I unlocked the office door. The place was silent and cold, humming softly with the sound of old vents and the faint buzz of exit signs. I turned on the lights and everything looked normal. Too normal, like a scene staged to look untouched. I walked to my office, my heartbeat thudding in my ears. The first thing I noticed, my desk drawer, the one that always stuck unless you slammed it, was slightly open. Barely a half-inch. But enough. Someone had been here. Recently. I reached for the drawer, hesitated, then pulled it open. The envelope with the photograph was gone. My breath hitched. Just a thin layer of dust where it used to sit. And beneath that, scratches. Fresh ones. Like someone had dragged something sharp across the wood, trying to pry it open. Suddenly the shadows in the room felt alive. I stepped back, swallowing the rising panic. Then I turned to the filing cabinet in the corner. The steel one we kept locked. The one only Marcus and I had keys to. I unlocked it, and my stomach dropped. Because the first folder inside, the one marked Q3 Financial Audit, wasn't just out of place. It was gone. Completely. I ran my fingers along the empty space, pressing the metal, as if touching it would make it reappear. What the hell? I pulled the next files out one by one. Then the next. And the next. And as the pile grew across my desk, the realization hit like a slow, creeping nightmare. Someone had gone through every file I owned. Not just randomly, systematically, meticulous, purposeful, targeting certain years, certain quarters, certain accounts. Then I saw it, tucked behind a stack of payroll reports, a single manila folder I had never seen. Not ours, not office-issued, different color, different texture, no label. My heart pounded harder as I reached for it. My fingers shook. I opened it. Inside was a USB drive, black, unmarked, and a single sheet of paper, typed, centered, cold. If you're reading this, you already know too much. My chest tightened painfully. I scanned the page fast, my breaths growing shallow. This drive contains everything he collected on you. Every photo, every video, every call, every text. Every place you've been in the last 5 years. I froze. 5 years. 5 years of my life under a microscope. I kept reading, the words slicing deeper with every line. You think she needed a reason to leave? She needed a reason to win. A cold sweat broke across my skin. By the time she's done, you won't just lose the business. You'll lose the case. You'll lose your reputation. And eventually, you'll lose your freedom. Freedom. The word tasted like metal in my mouth. I read the last line twice, just to make sure it said what I thought it said. Walk away now, or we'll finish what we started. My hands began to shake so badly the page slipped from my fingers. Finish what we started. What the hell did that mean? I leaned back, pressing both palms into my eyes, trying to slow the swirl of panic. But then, something clicked. A sound. Soft, Metal. Behind me. I froze, then slowly turned. The front door to the office had just latched. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't closed it fully when I walked in. Someone else had. Footsteps followed. Slow. Measured. Coming down the hallway. My heartbeat slammed into my throat. I grabbed the USB, stuffed it in my pocket, and killed the office lights. Footsteps grew closer. I crouched behind my desk, breath shallow, pulse shaking every bone in my body. The footsteps stopped right outside my office door. Silence. Then, a familiar voice. Too familiar. Hey, you still here? Marcus. My body sagged with relief, but the relief lasted exactly 1 second. Because something was wrong. Marcus never came to the office this late. He wasn't the type to swing by. He had a newborn at home. A wife. A routine. No reason to be here now. Lights were on in the hallway. He called out. Thought I'd check in. I stayed hidden. He stepped into the office. His silhouette filled the doorway. He didn't turn the lights back on. He just stood there, waiting, listening, like he wasn't looking for me, like he was confirming I was in the building. He stepped farther inside, closer to my desk. My heartbeat hammered so loudly I prayed he couldn't hear it. His voice dropped. Too calm. Too soft. Don't make this harder than it has to be. A chill shot down my spine. He wasn't talking like a friend. He wasn't talking like Marcus. He was talking like someone reading from a script. Someone following orders. My breath caught in my chest. He took another step. Then another. Until he was standing inches from the desk. In the darkness, I could barely see his outline, but I could see his right hand. Dangling. Holding something. A key. My office key. My stomach twisted violently. Marcus had always had a key. But the look on his face, the tension in his shoulders, the flatness in his voice, he wasn't here by accident. He wasn't checking on me. He was checking on something else. The files. The folder. The USB. He finally spoke again. This time even lower. You shouldn't have gone to the house. My entire body went cold. He knew. He knew I went to the attic. He knew I found the letters. He knew I confronted her. And then he said the words that shattered me. They told me you wouldn't listen. My blood froze. They told him. He wasn't just covering for them. He was working with them. My friend. My operations manager. My partner. Working with her. Working with the PI. Working against me. My heartbeat thudded painfully, but I kept still. Silent. Waiting for him to move. Then Marcus reached for the filing cabinet. He pulled out a stack of altered documents. My documents. His movements smooth, practiced, like he'd done it countless times. Because he had. He'd been doing it for years. And then, under his breath, almost a whisper, he said he'd handle the rest. But you're making this difficult. Handle the rest. A chill crawled down my spine. He wasn't just tampering with files. He was helping set the trap. My trap. For a second, I thought about standing up, confronting him, asking him why. But then he said something that made my blood turn to ice. You shouldn't be here when he arrives. The PI, the fiancé, the man who told me I'd lose more than the marriage. He was coming. Here. Tonight. Marcus stuffed the forged files into his bag and walked toward the door. Before leaving, he paused, hand on the frame. Last chance, he murmured. Walk away. He stepped out. The door clicked shut behind him. And I sat there in the dark, shaking, realizing the truth. I wasn't dealing with a messy divorce, or infidelity, or betrayal. I was up against a planned operation, one with allies, with money, with surveillance, with forged evidence, with 5 years of preparation, and I was already years behind. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A single text, from another unknown number. He's on his way. End of part 5. The danger escalates in part 6, where the first physical threat becomes unavoidable. Say write part 6 when you're ready. You said 6. ChatGPT said, "Here is part 6, written with full cinematic escalation, psychological tension, and the slow burn dread your story now requires." Part 6. Her new husband's warning shocked me. I didn't move for almost a full minute after Marcus left. The office stayed dark, just the faint green glow of the exit sign bleeding under the door, pulsing like a heartbeat. My own heartbeat wasn't far behind it, fast and uneven and way too loud in the silence. He's on his way. That text sat in my mind like a ticking bomb. Not a threat, not a warning, a countdown. I needed to leave. I knew that, but something inside me froze. Some mix of disbelief, betrayal, and the gut-deep knowledge that everything I thought I understood about the last 5 years was wrong. Marcus, my friend, my right-hand guy, working with her, working with him. I tried to swallow, but my throat was too tight. Get up, move, go. I forced myself to stand, but my legs felt like they didn't belong to me. I grabbed the USB drive, my keys, my phone, and then, car engine. Slow, quiet, pulling into the lot. My blood ran cold. He was here. I killed my phone screen and ducked behind the blinds just enough to see the parking lot. A black SUV, tinted windows, smooth stop, engine still running. The driver's door opened, and he stepped out. Same frame, same posture, same calm, predatory silence. The PI, her fiancé, her hidden weapon. He didn't rush, didn't look around, didn't check the shadows, because he wasn't worried, because he already knew the plan. My plan didn't exist yet. Not really, but I knew one thing. Couldn't be here. I grabbed my jacket, cracked the back door of the office, and slipped into the alley behind the building. Cold air hit me like a slap. I kept low, breath shallow, heart hammering so hard I thought it might echo off the bricks. I made it to my truck, unlocked it quietly, slid inside. Just as I was about to start the engine, a knock on the window. Hard. Fast. I jumped so violently I hit my head on the roof. But it wasn't him. It was Evan. Pale, wide-eyed, breathless. I rolled down the window. "What the hell are you doing here?" I whispered. I followed you," he stammered. "I was scared. You didn't answer my texts." My stomach dropped. Texts? Evan, I didn't get any texts. He blinked. "I sent 3. 10 minutes ago. Oh God. Someone intercepted them. Someone jammed them. Someone blocked them." I grabbed his arm and pulled him into the truck. "Evan," I said, "listen to me carefully. You can't." A voice cut through the darkness. "You two finished?" My spine turned to ice. He was standing in front of the truck, perfectly still, hands in his coat pockets, head tilted slightly, like he was examining us for cracks. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just smiled, like this was all going exactly the way he wanted. Evan's breath hitched.
No, y whisperat.
"Stay calm. Don't move." The PI stepped closer. "Long night, huh?" he said, almost conversational. "I told her you'd be stubborn." My grip tightened on the wheel. He leaned his arm casually on the hood, smiling like we were old friends catching up. "Let me guess," he said. "You found the letters." My skin prickled. "And the folder." He tapped the hood twice with his knuckles. "And the envelope." Evan's voice cracked. "Stay away from him." "Oh," the PI said, and his smile widened. "The kid's loyal."
Goo.
He leaned down, face inches from the glass, eyes sharp and unsettlingly calm. "You know," he said softly, "we could have done this the easy way, before you started snooping, before you dragged the boy into it, before you made her nervous." "My mother is a psychopath," Evan snapped. The PI's grin didn't falter. "Your mother," he said gently, "is about to be very, very wealthy." My pulse jumped. He was doing it on purpose, saying enough to rattle us but not enough to incriminate himself. Calculated, cold, professional. "You shouldn't have come to the office," he continued. "You forced our hand. Our Not her. He wasn't working for her. He was working with her. He pressed his palm against the hood like he was testing its warmth. You need to stop digging, he said. Stop questioning. Stop showing up in places you don't belong. Evan started shaking. Please, he whispered. Just leave us alone. The PI tilted his head again, studying him. Oh, don't worry, he said softly. You're not the problem. He is. He pointed at me. And he's running out of time. I reached for the gear shift, ready to floor it, but the PI held up one finger. A warning. Drive off, he said. And I'll assume you're hostile. My jaw clenched. You don't get to make threats, I said through my teeth. He laughed, quiet and genuine. Oh no, that wasn't a threat. He leaned closer. It was a courtesy. I felt Evan tense beside me. Then the PI's tone shifted, gentler, almost sympathetic. You think she wants the business? He asked. The assets? The house? He shook his head. That's not what she's after. My blood pressure spiked. What is she after? I demanded. He smiled again. Redemption. Redemption. He let the word hang in the air like smoke. You broke her, he said softly. Years ago. You just don't know it yet. I froze. What are you talking about? He tapped the hood again, 3 precise, measured taps. The past always surfaces, he whispered. Even when someone tries very hard to bury it. I felt myself go cold. Ask her, he continued. Ask her about the night in 2018. My heart stalled. What happened in 2018? He pushed off the hood, straightened his coat, and stepped back into the shadows. You'll remember, he said. Eventually. He paused. And when you do? He smiled one last time, slow, deliberate, chilling. You'll understand why she wants you gone. Then he turned and walked toward his SUV.
No rus.
No fear.
No hesitation.
Like he was certain the night was his. He got in. Engine revved. SUV rolled backward. And just before he turned onto the main road, he rolled down his window. A final message. You two should get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be loud. He drove off. The parking lot fell silent. Evan exhaled shakily. Dad, he whispered. What happened in 2018? I gripped the steering wheel hard enough to hurt. Because 2018 was the year of the accident. The year of the missing money. The year I blacked out in the hospital. The year she destroyed the only evidence I had ever hidden. The year I'd been trying to forget. But now I knew she had never forgotten. And neither had he. I didn't sleep that night. Not after what the PI said. Not after the word he dropped like a grenade. 2018. The year I'd buried. The year I told myself didn't matter anymore. The year I forced out of my memory because remembering felt like swallowing glass. But the worst part was this. He knew. He knew exactly what happened. And somehow so did she. Evan leaned back in the passenger seat, hood up, hands shaking. Dad, what happened in 2018? I didn't answer, because I didn't have the full answer myself. The truth was slippery, fragmented, memory flashes, missing hours, hospital smells, her screaming at a doctor behind a half-closed curtain, and that envelope in the safe, the one labeled, for my eyes only, the one she stole, the one she didn't want me to see again. Whatever was in it, whatever I put inside it, was tied to that year. And then another truth hit me like a punch. The PI mentioning it wasn't a warning. It was an invitation to remember, to collapse, to break. And if I broke, their plan became easier. I turned the key, forcing my hands to stop shaking. We're not staying here. We need to go. Where? Evan whispered. To the only place they don't expect. We drove until the sun started bleeding into the horizon. Orange, pale, too quiet. I pulled into an old convenience store parking lot outside the city. The kind with flickering lights and stale coffee that's been sitting since the Clinton administration. Evan followed me inside. The air smelled like dust and motor oil. I bought 2 black coffees, a pack of gum, and a cheap notebook. When we were back in the truck, he looked at me like he was afraid of my answer. "Tell me what happened," he said. I took a long breath. "Some of it, I honestly don't remember." He frowned. "What do you mean you don't remember?" "I mean," I said quietly, "something happened to me. Something big. And I never asked enough questions." His face paled. "Did someone hurt you?" "Not exactly," I said. "But someone helped make sure I forgot." Evan stared. "Her?" I didn't answer, because the real answer was worse. It might have been her, but it also might have been me. I opened the notebook and wrote down the few things I did remember from that year. The business lost $72,000 that quarter. I woke up in a hospital with a concussion. The doctor said I'd fallen down the stairs. But the stairs had no blood, no damage, nothing. She took my phone and my wallet to keep them safe. And the safe, God, the safe. I locked something inside it the same week. I rubbed my temples. "Dad," Evan said gently, "you're shaking." "I'm fine, Elid. I didn't want you mixed into this." "You didn't mix me in," he whispered. "They did." My chest tightened. He was right. I closed the notebook. We needed more than memories. We needed proof. And there was only one place left to find it. My old house, the attic, the missing letter, the documents she tried to erase. But before I could say anything, Evan's phone buzzed. He looked down and froze. "Dad." His voice cracked. "They know we're together." My blood went cold. "What do you mean?" He turned the screen. It was a text message. From her. Sent 2 minutes ago. "Come home, Evan. We need to talk about your father." Beneath it, another, "I know he picked you up." Then another, "Be careful. He's not well." Evan's hands trembled. "She's lying. She's..." I grabbed the phone and held it up closer. She wasn't just lying. She was laying the groundwork. She was setting the stage for the story she wanted the world to believe. I was unstable. I was unpredictable. I was dangerous. And Evan? He wasn't her son in this moment. He was her witness, her alibi, her proof. I tossed the phone onto the dashboard. "We're not going anywhere near her," I said. Evan nodded. But my stomach twisted. Because there was something else in that text. Not what she said, but what she didn't say.
No sreds. No acquiescascens. No desperascen.
Just confidence. Cold, steady confidence. She wasn't panicking. She wasn't scrambling. She wasn't even angry. She was calm. Because she believed, truly believed. She already had everything she needed to destroy me. We spent the next few hours driving in circles around the city limits, thinking through every angle, every lie, every missing document, every manipulated medical record. At one point, around 2:40 p.m., I pulled onto the shoulder of an overlook and stepped out of the truck, trying to breathe without feeling like the world was closing in. The wind cut hard. Evan followed me, hugging his jacket tight. "Dad," he said, "there's something else. Something I didn't tell you. Evan, please."
No.
"You need to hear it." His voice shook. 3 weeks ago, she took out another insurance policy. My chest tightened. "On who?" He swallowed. "You." A long, cold silence. Then, "For double the amount." My breathing stopped. "Dad." "It activates if you're declared mentally unfit." I stumbled back a step. Because everything, every warning, every forged document, every altered medical record, was pointing in one direction. Not murder. Not an accident. Not sudden death. Institutionalization. If I was declared incompetent, she got everything. The money, the business, the house, my assets, all of it, without court fights, without resistance, without messy investigations. And if I disappeared into a psychiatric facility, that payout was instant. I pressed my palms to my eyes, trying to steady my breathing. They didn't need me dead. They needed me gone. Unreachable. Unheard. Discredited. Erased. Then Evan pulled something from his pocket. A small folded paper. "Someone slid this under my motel door," he said. My stomach dropped. "What? When?" "This morning. I didn't know if I should show you." He handed it to me. I unfolded it with shaking fingers. Typed words.
No signature. No header.
Just one sentence. "Check the burner phone she hid in the attic." My heart stopped, because suddenly, too suddenly, everything connected. The letters, the safe, the missing envelope, the PI's calm confidence, the incomplete message about the beneficiary. The year 2018. She hadn't destroyed every piece of evidence. She'd hidden the most important one, and someone wanted me to find it. Someone on the inside. Maybe not Marcus, maybe not Daniel, but someone. And they were risking everything to get that one message to me. "Dad," Evan whispered. "What is it?" I folded the note and shoved it into my pocket. "It means," I said quietly, "that there's something up there. Something she missed." Evan swallowed hard. "So we're going back?" I stared at the horizon. The house. The attic. The truth. All of it waited there like a fuse. "Yes," I said. But then I added the part one hadn't dared admit until now. "But we're not the only ones heading there." By the time we pulled up to the old house, the sun was sinking. One of those blood-orange sunsets that makes everything look like a warning. Evan stared through the windshield, fingers tapping nervously against his knees. "Dad, what if he's already here?" "He will be," I said. "They both will." He swallowed hard. "Then why are we coming back?" I exhaled. "Because the only way out of this is through." But even as I said it, my stomach twisted. Because I knew we weren't going back to the attic to search. We were going back to expose. To find the one piece of evidence she hadn't destroyed. The burner phone. The messages. The call logs. The truth about 2018. And, God help me, maybe the truth about what she'd been planning ever since. I parked 2 houses down, lights off. Same place I parked the night I found the photograph. The night everything started unraveling. "Stay close," I told Evan. "I will," he whispered. We stepped out of the truck. The cold hit instantly. Not weather, not air. A different kind of cold. Like the house itself knew we were coming back. As we approached the backyard, I froze. Evan bumped gently into me. "What?" he whispered. I pointed at the ground. Footprints. Fresh. Deep. Leading to the back door. Not mine. Not Evan's. I felt my pulse spike. "He's inside," Evan whispered. I nodded, but I didn't turn back. Instead, I motioned for him to follow me to the side of the house where the crawlspace vent sat half open. "When did that break?" Evan asked. "It didn't," I said. "Someone pried it." We ducked beneath the vent and climbed in, quiet, cramped, dusty. Perfect cover. A moment later, we heard the back door open. Heavy boots. Measured footsteps. The PI. Calm. Confident. Hunting. Through the floorboards, his voice drifted down. "Don't drag this out. I know you came back." Evan held his breath so long I had to touch his shoulder to remind him to inhale quietly. The PI walked slowly through the living room. Into the kitchen. Into the hallway. He was searching the house. But not for us. He was looking for whatever we came to find. That burner phone. He knew about it too. Which meant he wasn't here to destroy us tonight. He was here to destroy the evidence. When his footsteps disappeared upstairs, I looked at Evan. "This is our chance," I whispered. We crawled out from beneath the house and slipped through the side door. Quietly, carefully. The hallway was dim. The attic pull string swayed slightly, still moving from when he'd climbed up. I motioned for Evan to stay below and keep watch. I grabbed the rope, pulled the ladder down, and climbed up slowly. Each creak sounded like a gunshot in my chest. At the top, I peeked in. My heart lurched. The PI wasn't in the attic. But someone else was. standing with her back to me, holding the same cardboard box I found days earlier, sifting through it frantically. She muttered to herself, voice sharp and shaking. "Where is it? Where the hell is it?" My breath caught. She didn't know where she hid the burner phone. She was searching for it. Panicked. Desperate. Good. She deserved to panic. I stepped inside, quietly, carefully. A floorboard groaned beneath me. She spun. For a moment, her face was blank. No expression, no mask. Then her eyes hardened. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "That makes two of us," I replied. She clenched the edge of the box so tightly the cardboard started to bend. "Where's the phone?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she tilted her head, studying me with the cold focus of someone deciding which lie to tell first. "Still chasing ghosts?" she asked. "Still imagining conspiracies?" I stepped closer. "You filed a petition to reopen the divorce." She smirked. "Of course I did. You hid assets." "I never hid anything." "You don't remember," she said. "That's the problem. You never remember." Her tone dripped with something cruel, familiar, practiced. Manipulation. "I know about the insurance," I said. She didn't flinch. "I know about him," I added. Still nothing. "I know about the safe, the letters, the forged documents, the plan." That's when she moved. Not away from me, toward me. Slow, measured, predatory. "Plan?" she asked softly. "You think this was all a plan?" "Yes." She smiled, not warm, not amused. A hollow, empty smile that made my skin crawl. "You give yourself too much credit, sweetheart." "Where's the phone?" I repeated. Her smile snapped away instantly. "I destroyed it." But the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "No," I said. "If you destroyed it, you wouldn't be up here tearing through boxes. You'd be down there with him, celebrating." Her jaw tightened. "We didn't celebrate," she said quietly. "Not yet." I froze. Not yet. My heartbeat began to race. "What happened in 2018? I asked. Her eyes flickered. Just once. But I saw it. Fear. Real deep fear. "Don't," she whispered. "Tell me."
No.
"Tell me." She swallowed. "You were supposed to forget," she said. My breath hitched. "I made sure you forgot." I spread through my veins. "Forgot what?" I whispered. Before she could answer, a heavy footstep creaked on the attic ladder. Evan's voice, shattering, terrified. "Dad, he's coming up." The PI. I turned back to her. Her expression finally broke. Not into anger, not into rage, but into something far more terrifying. Panic. She lunged for a box behind her, pulled it open, and there, buried beneath blankets and old photo albums, was a small black prepaid phone, scratched, battery taped, screen cracked. The burner phone. My lungs seized. She grabbed it fast, but not fast enough. I dove forward and snatched it from her hand. She screamed, not in fear, in fury. "You don't understand," she shouted. "You don't know what's on there." Footsteps thundered up the ladder. The PI's voice roared, "Drop it." But I didn't drop it. I opened it. The phone lit up dim, flickering, but alive. And on the home screen was a single icon. Voicemail 1. One unheard message. From my number. Date stamp. August 14th, 2018, 2:17 a.m. The night of the hospital. The night she said I fell. The night I forgot. My chest tightened violently. I pressed play. A voice crackled through the tiny speaker. My own voice. Broken. Shaking. Slurred from pain or panic or something worse. "If anything happens to me..." It wasn't an accident. The attic spun. "She knows. She found the files. She isn't who you think she is." The PI's shadow appeared at the top of the ladder. "I'm leaving this message because I don't know if I'll make it out tonight." Her face turned white.
I'm scared.
"God, I'm so scared. She's not alone." He's here. Evan gasped behind me. If I don't come home, check the safe. The real truth is inside. A beat, a ragged breath. Then my voice said the words that made the PI freeze in place and made her collapse to her knees. Tell Evan.
I'm sorry.
The message ended. Silence. No one breathed. Not her. Not the PI. Not Evan. Not me. The truth wasn't a theory. Not a guess. Not paranoia. It was recorded. Undeniable. It had survived 5 years. And now it was in my hands. The PI finally inhaled, but I raised the phone and looked him dead in the eyes. This, I said quietly, is the reason you needed me gone. He didn't deny it. He didn't speak. He didn't move. But she whispered 4 words I wasn't ready for. I didn't want this. And when I looked into her eyes, I saw something terrifying. Not guilt. Not remorse. Not even fear. Something worse. Something hollow. Something that told me one awful, undeniable truth. She wasn't trying to win. She was trying to erase. For a moment, no one moved. The attic felt too small, too dark, too hot. Like the air itself knew what that voicemail meant. Evan stood frozen near the ladder, eyes wide, chest heaving. The PI's hand hovered near his jacket pocket, still but ready. And she was on her knees, staring at the attic floor like it might swallow her whole. My voice from 2018, still echoed in my head, vibrating through every nerve in my body. If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident. I finally spoke. Tell me what you did. She didn't look up. Tell me what happened in 2018. She shook her head, tiny, frantic movements. The PI stepped forward. Don't, he said, firm, commanding. I held up the phone. 1 step closer, and I send this recording to the police. His jaw tightened, but he didn't move. Good. I turned back to her. She looked small, smaller than I'd ever seen her. And for the first time in 10 years, she wasn't performing. Talk, I said. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Her hands shook as she pushed her hair back, eyes glinting with something between terror and remorse. Evan whispered, Mom, please. She swallowed hard. Then finally, she looked at me, and everything inside me went cold. Her eyes weren't angry, or hateful, or vengeful. They were broken. I never meant for any of this, she whispered. Then tell me what you meant, I said. Silence. Then, you weren't supposed to fall. My stomach twisted violently. The PI swore under his breath and stepped toward her. Stop talking, he growled. But she didn't stop. She kept going, like the words had been trapped inside her throat for years. You weren't supposed to run, she said. My heart hammered. You weren't supposed to fight. A chill climbed my spine. What happened in 2018? I demanded. Her breathing hitched. And then she said it. I wanted to leave you. A beat. A long, sharp beat. But he wouldn't let me. I blinked. What? The PI's voice cut through the air like a knife. Enough. She ignored him. Her gaze locked onto mine with a terrifying intensity. He needed proof, she whispered. Proof that you were unstable. Proof that you were dangerous. Proof that you weren't fit to run the business or the marriage. My pulse thudded painfully. You remember that night, don't you? She asked. But I didn't. Not fully. Just flashes. Her screaming. Bright lights. Metal rails. Blood, maybe mine. Maybe not. I found something in the safe, she continued. Something you didn't want anyone to see. My chest tightened. The envelope. And when you realized I'd seen it, she said, you panicked.
No, y whisperat.
That's not. You did, she said. You grabbed me. You dragged me into the hallway. You were yelling, crying, begging me not to tell anyone. The PI stepped between us. That's enough. But she was unraveling now. Threads snapping, truth spilling out like she'd been holding it too long. You slipped, she whispered. Her voice cracked. You fell down the stairs. My vision blurred. You hit your head. My breath stalled. And She covered her mouth with shaking hands. I didn't call 911 right away. Evan gasped. I felt my knees go weak. I waited, she choked out, because he told me to. He said we needed time, needed photos, needed proof. The PI's voice thundered. Stop! But she didn't. She sobbed now, shaking violently. You could have died, she cried. The PI lunged toward her. I stepped between them. Touch her, I warned. And that voicemail goes everywhere. He froze mid-step. His jaw clenched. Veins in his neck bulged. He was a second away from snapping. But he didn't move. Not yet. I turned back to her. You let me lie in a hallway with a head injury? She nodded slowly, eyes red and swollen. You left me unconscious? Another nod. You listened to him instead of helping me? I didn't know what else to do, she whispered. Help me, I said. You could have helped me. Her voice dropped to a thin, shaking thread. I was tired, she said. Tired of being the one who held everything together. Tired of pretending we were fine. Tired of the business owning you. Tired of you choosing everything except me. Anger flared hot and sharp in my chest. So you planned this? I snapped. You planned the divorce? The lies? The setup? The PI? The insurance? All of it. Her silence was answer enough. Evan broke first. He sank onto the attic floor, hands in his hair. Mom, how could you do this? She looked at him. Her son. Like she didn't recognize him anymore. I did it for you, she whispered. No, you didn't, he said. You did it for you. The PI finally spoke, voice low, controlled. We're done here. He reached for her arm. Evan jumped up. Don't touch her. The PI stepped toward him, and I stepped between them. Get out, I said. He smiled. Not wide, not menacing, just assured. You think you've won? I held the phone up. I have proof. He laughed once, sharp and humorless. You have a voicemail, he said, from a drunk, injured man with a history of episodes. Do you really think that's enough to beat a 5-year paper trail? My throat tightened. History of episodes. She'd planted that. He'd amplified it. They'd both built it. Look at you, he continued. Heart racing, sweating, shaking, irrational, unstable, dangerous. He said the words slowly, deliberately, like he wanted me to feel them. That recording won't save you, he said. It'll bury you. I stepped closer. But it exposes you. He didn't deny it. Not directly. He just smirked. You want the truth? He asked. Fine. He leaned in, so close I could smell his cologne, sharp and chemical. I don't care about the business, he whispered. I don't care about the house. I care about winning. I felt my pulse spike. And right now, he said, you're a cornered animal, and cornered animals make mistakes. He stepped back. And mistakes, he added softly, can be fatal. Evan grabbed my arm. Dad, don't. He wants you angry. He wants you to strike first. I breathed slowly, forcing the rage down. The PI shrugged. We'll finish this tomorrow, he said. Court, police, medical review. A nice little spiral. He grabbed her arm again. She didn't resist. She looked at me once more, eyes hollow. Please, she whispered. Just stop fighting. I felt something inside me tear. Not my heart. Not my trust. Something deeper. Something final. I'm not the one who started this, I said. Her lips trembled, but she didn't respond. The PI pulled her toward the ladder. Evan tensed, but I didn't move. Not yet. They climbed down. Their footsteps descended. The front door opened, closed. Silence. For a long moment, Evan and I stood there in the attic, surrounded by dust, half-open boxes, the smell of old insulation, and the echo of a truth we couldn't unhear. Finally, Evan whispered, "Dad, what do we do now?" I didn't answer right away, because I already knew the real question. Not what we do, but who we could trust. The PI? No. Her? Never. Marcus? Gone. The police? Not with the trail they built. The courts? Not with the evidence they planted. There was only one person left. Someone who had nothing to gain. Someone she couldn't manipulate. Someone who still had access to financial records. Someone who had risked calling me once already. Daniel, the accountant. I finally spoke. We go to the one person who knows their lies better than they do. Evan nodded. Then we go, he said. But as we started down the attic ladder, my phone buzzed in my pocket. One new message. No name. No number. Just a single sentence. You don't have until tomorrow. My blood ran cold. Time was up. The message kept vibrating in my palm long after the phone went still. You don't have until tomorrow. I didn't show it to Evan, not yet. He already looked like he was balancing on the edge of something sharp, and this push might send him over. Instead, I stuffed the phone into my pocket and headed down the attic ladder. "Dad?" he whispered. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," I lied. "We just need to move. Now." We slipped out the back door into the cold evening air. The sky had gone ink black, clouds creeping low. The house behind us stood silent, dark, almost watchful. "We're going to Daniel's," I said. Evan nodded, hugging his jacket tighter. "Okay." But before we could reach the truck, headlights swept across the driveway. I yanked Evan back behind a tree. The car rolled to a stop. But not the PI's SUV. Not her car. Something smaller, older, paint chipped. A man stepped out. Daniel. He scanned the yard with frantic energy, his breath fogging in the cold. His shirt was half untucked, his hair a mess, like he'd driven here without thinking. He hadn't seen us yet. "Dad." Evan whispered. "Why is he here?" "I don't know." But then Daniel knelt beside the wooden fence, pulled something from his coat, and shoved it into the dirt. Something small, metallic, and blinking. My stomach dropped. A GPS tracker. Not to track the house. To track me. He stood, wiped his hands on his coat, and looked around nervously. Then, for the first time, I saw the truth in his face. He wasn't here to help us. He was here because someone told him to be. Someone had flipped him, or scared him, or bought him. The PI. I stepped out from behind the tree. "Daniel." His head snapped toward me. His eyes widened. "God, Carver. What are you doing here?" he stammered. "What the hell are you doing?" I asked. He swallowed hard. I didn't have a choice." "You always have a choice," I said. He hesitated, then tears filled his eyes. "They threatened my daughter," he whispered. "Said they'd take her if I didn't help them finish this." My whole body froze. "Finish this." "Daniel," I said slowly. "What does finish this mean?" He shook his head, trembling. "You have to run. Now." I stepped closer. "Tell me." "I can't," he breathed. "They told me. They said tonight is the window. That if you're not declared missing or mentally unfit by morning, everything falls apart for them." My pulse thundered. "So they're coming after me?" He looked at me with broken eyes. "Not coming," he whispered. "They're here." Before I could react, movement flickered at the edge of the property. A shadow. Then another. Then the unmistakable outline of the PI. Daniel panicked. "Go. Please. If he sees me talking to you, it's over." But something in me snapped. I'd been running, hiding, reacting. Not tonight. Not anymore. I stepped forward. "No," I said. "It ends now." We moved toward the driveway, me, Evan, and Daniel trailing behind us like a guilty ghost. The PI stepped into the open, hands in his pockets, calm as a surgeon walking into an operating room. She stood beside him. Her makeup was streaked, her eyes red, her breathing fast, not from fear, from adrenaline. "Enough," I said. No more games. The PI smiled faintly. This isn't a game. This is a correction. A correction? I snapped. You tried to erase me. He shrugged. A man who can't remember his past can't defend his future. Evan stepped in front of me. You're sick. The PI tilted his head. Better sick than irrelevant. I clenched my fists. I have the voicemail. I have the phone. The truth. He cut me off. Truth? He laughed. You think one shaken voicemail from 5 years ago is truth? We have files, photos, statements, medical logs, a trail you can't outrun. But you forgot one thing, I said. He raised an eyebrow. I'm not alone anymore. Evan stood taller. Daniel stepped forward. And for the first time, the PI's confidence cracked. A tiny fracture. He looked at Daniel. You were warned. Daniel lowered his gaze. You threatened my child. Collateral, the PI said coldly. Something inside me ignited. I stepped forward, close enough to smell the cold scent of his cologne. You wanted me unstable? I said quietly. You wanted me to snap? Fine. He smirked. Go ahead. Give me a reason. I didn't hit him. I didn't lunge. Instead, I held up the burner phone, pressed play on the voicemail. My own trembling voice filled the yard. If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident. Neighbors' lights flicked on. Dogs barked. Footsteps inside nearby houses. The PI's jaw tightened. The voicemail kept playing. She knows. She found the files. She isn't who you think she is. She crumpled. Literally. Her knees buckled. Her hand flew to her mouth. She sobbed. An ugly, raw sound I'd never heard in 20 years of knowing her. The PI's mask shattered. Turn it off, he hissed. I stepped backward, still playing the recording. Check the safe. The real truth is inside. The PI lunged, but he didn't reach me. Daniel grabbed him first. Evan jumped between us. The PI swung, hit Daniel across the jaw. Daniel fell hard. Evan screamed. I grabbed the PI, but he twisted, elbowed me in the ribs, and knocked the phone from my hand. It skidded across the driveway. He lunged for it. I lunged for him. We hit the ground, hard gravel slicing my hands. Pain exploded in my shoulder as he pinned me. You ruined this, he snarled into my ear. Years of work. Years. I pushed, struggling for breath. He tightened his grip. You should have stayed buried. Something cracked inside me. Not bone. Resolve. I twisted, every muscle screaming, and slammed my elbow backward, connected with his jaw. He loosened. I shoved harder. We rolled. He reached for a knife, small, sharp, hidden in his coat. Evan screamed, Dad! I grabbed his wrist. We struggled. The blade glinted between us. Too close. Too fast. Too real. His breath hit my face. You're not walking away, he growled. But he was wrong. Because in that split second, raw, instinctive, animal, I grabbed the knife with my bare hand, and I stabbed it into the dirt beside his head. Not him. The ground. An inch from his ear. His eyes widened.
Choc. Surprise.
A flicker of fear. I'm not you, I whispered. He stared at me, and something broke. Inside him, the fight left his body like air leaving a punctured tire. Sirens wailed in the distance. Neighbors had called the police. Good. It was over. The police arrived fast. They separated us. Took statements. Took the burner phone. Listened to the voicemail. Eyes narrowing. Pens scribbling faster with each sentence. The PI was cuffed. She wasn't. Not yet. But she sat on the curb, hands shaking violently, staring at nothing. When the officer walked her to the squad car, she looked at me one last time and whispered, I didn't want you dead. I nodded. I know. Then I added, but you didn't want me living either. She closed her eyes. They drove her away. The PI shouted something from the other car, but the door shut before the words reached me. Silence settled over the yard. Daniel approached, face bruised, voice hoarse. "It's over," he said. I nodded, but he shook his head. "No," he whispered. "Not over. Just finally out in the open." Evan came to my side, leaning into me, trembling. "You're safe," he said. But I knew better. Safety isn't a place. It's a truth. A hard one. Painful one. A necessary one. 6 months later, the PI pled guilty. She took a plea deal. Marcus lost his job. Daniel moved states. Evan moved in with me. And I rebuilt. Slowly. Quietly. Piece by piece. Therapy. Honesty. Sobriety. Peace. Some days the past feels distant. Other days it's a shadow on my wall. But I survived. Not because I was strong, but because the truth finally surfaced. Even when they tried to bury it. Especially then. What I learned. People think betrayal is a single moment. It isn't. It's 1,000 small choices that add up to a storm you never saw coming. It's the trust you gave freely. The doubt you ignored. The patterns you explained away. The pieces that didn't fit until suddenly they did. I don't hate her. I don't hate him. Hate takes energy. Keep mine. For myself. For Evan. For the life we're building now. Final line. The truth didn't set me free. It just stopped the bleeding long enough for me to stitch myself back together. And some nights, when the house is quiet and the world is still, I swear I can still hear the attic creak. A warning. A memory. A reminder. Some secrets don't die. They wait. Silence.